Welcome to Revenue Impact, the podcast show where we don't hold back. Joining Kunal today is one of the enablement OGs, Roderick Jefferson.
Okay, so hello everybody. Today we have a really special guest with us. Roderick Jefferson, you are somebody I've always looked at as one of the founding members of what modern day enablement is. You are a globally recognized enablement leader. You're the author of Sales Enablement 3.0, someone who's just continuing at the forefront of how enablement is innovating, right? And now especially around AI. So to really kick us off, Roderick, before we really get into kind of how is it transforming enablement, we'd love for you to share your journey and kind of how you got here and how you've been pulled into this space and what makes AI such a big focus for you right now.
First of all, Kunal, I've been waiting for this one all week to get a chance to get together. So thank you so much. And thanks for all the kind words and the validation. I think you just came short of calling me one of the OGs of enablement.
Yeah, I was gonna go with that. I'll probably put that in a LinkedIn post actually.
No worries. So my journey started in sales. I started as BDR. And I was out there dialing for dollars and did my thing, did really well, got promoted to AE, went to President's Club a couple times. And then you know what we do? We promote people to sales leader, well, sales manager.
Yeah.
Even back then. And then I said, no thanks. Because I realized that I loved the process of selling more than I did taking down big deals. I didn't get jazzed by ringing the bell and everyone knowing my name. It was like, how can I help these people be bigger, faster, and stronger? And so I talked myself into my first sales training job at AT&T by saying, what if I could get more people to President's Club than you have budget for, to my VP? And he said, well, then you got a new job. And I jumped into that. And then the more I trained, I realized there's a lot more intricacies and nuances than just training. And so 18 years ago, part of the Sales Enablement Society, I came up with a nomenclature, Sales Enablement. And so to me, it started being, and I tell the story in my book, I was literally being a smart ass when I did it. I was talking to a sales leader and he said, you know what? We don't do disqual well. Throw training at it, right? We don't handle objections well. Throw training. We're discounting too much. Throw training. He's like, I have managers, not leaders. I said, let me guess. Throw training at it. I looked at him and I said, actually, I think you train animals, you enable people. And he went, what's this enablement thing you speak of? And then I started talking through on my feet, as we do as sales folks. And then I started really putting some framework around it. And before I knew it, there was a whole process around it. There was sales enablement methodology. Then I was blessed enough to be a part of the gang that kicked off, Sales Enablement Society. That's now Revenue Enablement Society.
Right.
And it's gone. And to your point, it's gone a long way. And my baby's grown up. But I still don't think we're doing a service, because if you ask 12 people what enablement is, or 10 people, you'll get 12 answers from 10 different people.
And none of the answers are wrong, right?
None of them are wrong, because you know as well as I do. It depends upon where you are, your company is in the maturation cycle, and also your buyer cycle and how they buy, right? So, but the problem is enablement, the Sales Enablement Society was supposed to be on par with what PMI did for project management. And that is consistent nomenclature, consistent methodology, consistent documentation, all that. But somehow we've gone convoluted all over the place. This is not a knock on the society by any means. It's because early on, we focused too much on what I call butts and seats and smiley sheets, right? And then we focus so much on, I've got to show value, Value is an emotional statement. It's I think, I feel. Where we should have, I believe we should have been early on is, what's the ROI?
Right.
And it's why I hate when sales enablement or GTM or even Rev enablement folks say, I help drive revenue. If you don't carry a bag, you don't drive revenue. We impact and we influence it. And we made ourselves a silo as opposed to being the center point that all of the rest of the organizations, marketing, product marketing, HR engineering, I think should all spoke off of enablement being the hub. And that's from communication, collaboration, all the way out to orchestration. With the uptake of AI, the whole ball game has
There we go.
changed, as we know, right? And so now, how do you adjust and get away from the things we used to do? Because we both know when there were cuts going on globally, I was going to say Silicon Valley, but globally,
No,
who got
good.
cut first? We did, enablement folk. It's because we didn't show ROI and value. It's because we couldn't articulate clear, consistent, revenue-focused metrics. It was because we didn't have those cheerleaders across the GTM organizations that are speaking on our behalf. No, we can't let that go. We need this. We can't be successful without them. So what they said is, we're really expensive trainers, or why do we need them? We've got L&D.
Right.
Well, I think we know the difference between all of those.
And this is a story that I told quite a lot, right? What happened? How did we get there? What the perception? I think the key point being enablement being perceived as a cost center. So how do we shift that, right? And this shift is still happening, right? I still speak to enablers today, and we're still like, but why and how and where? What even do I begin with here in order to move in this journey? But while we're speaking about this value-based shift, this AI thing has come along, right?
Oh,
And now it's not just about how do I, increase my value, but how do I leverage AI to help me get there, right? So the game has almost changed. So and you mentioned that, right? And you touched on that. So, but when it comes to AI very specifically, we're not talking about the future anymore, right? We're not talking about this is something that's going to happen, it's going to change, and how jobs focus will change. It's here now. The shift has happened, right? In fact, the shift and the pace of innovation continues to increase. Not just about new things; that the pace is increasing. It's almost too much, right?
it's amazingly frightening sometimes.
It's overwhelming, right? So what are you seeing out there in the sort of GTM world, enablement world, that kind of says, something needs to change here. We need to do something differently. And what are we going to do right now?
Well, it starts with, if every single statement and sentence that you utter does not have AI in it, you're already behind. I don't believe that AI is going to take all of anyone's jobs or even enablement people. I think people that don't know how to leverage AI will
Right.
have no job, right?
Yep.
And what I'm seeing is, previously it was about processes, platforms, programs, all those things. Now there is a new P. It's about prompting. It's all about becoming a prompt engineer.
Right.
And then being able to teach within the structure of your given organization, how do you leverage this tool? And I say tool because I think AI is no different, quite honestly, than Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. And let me explain. They are all productivity tools. They're only as good as what you put in to get the outcome that you want. And you have to have an end goal in mind to be able to build them.
Right.
No different with AI. Right. So I look at it how we can leverage AI to increase productivity and profitability in 6 ways. Right. And they are, I always start at the top, and that's streamline lead scoring, right? Which is the lifeblood, right? And so, how do we use AI to prioritize leads based on their likelihood to convert, allowing them to focus then on the efforts that will, them being sales folks, to focus on the most fruitful pieces that will move forward. And I didn't say close yet. We're going to get to that piece. Right? This is now just about setting the stage. The next thing is about automated tasks, which we all do. But we've got to get the mindset of Chat GPT and Claude, et cetera, are the crux of what AI means. And we all know there's a bazillion of them out there. I use 13 AI tools on a daily basis, depending upon what I need done. The next piece is about real-time analytics, right? How do we provide our reps using AI with real-time analytics and insights, and not just reps, I would say across the GTM spectrum now, from marketing, product marketing, HR engineering, BDR, sales, SCs, all the way out to CSMs, right? And I'll talk about them in a moment too, because they tend to get left out. How do we give them those insights into the sales activities that are going to be able to identify areas where they can improve performance and move the ball further down the field? The next piece is personalized sales coaching. And there's a lot of folks that call themselves coaches, et cetera. I firmly believe that upwards of 80% of, and this is from conversations and also working directly with sales leaders. I think upwards of 80% of sales leaders are really managers. One, they're not leaders.
Yeah.
Secondly, I don't think they know how to coach. They know how to clone. They also know how to get folks to do what they used to do, and they carried a bag 47 years ago. Right? And so this really is about personalized coaching of GTM folks, and I tend to stay away from just reps, right? GTM folks based on their individual strengths and their weaknesses. No more peanut buttering across things, right? Now it's analyzing activities like, their emails, their calls, their meetings, and also AI role plays, I think have gotten much, much better because the avatars have gotten much better. It can feel like literally you and I are sitting across from each other, right? And if you are global, you can now grab that avatar and then translate it into 200 plus languages. Now I'm talking to you about something in your natural tongue. Imagine that. Or I'm prospecting to you in your tongue. How does that then separate you? The next piece is, how do you efficiently update that sales process? I'm talking about creating proposals, contracts, sales docs, etc., but streamlining that. And more importantly, now you're crowdsourcing the best of the best, and you're keeping all of that in-house. People move on, they take other jobs. Guess what you've done? You've now corralled the best of the best. And the final piece is that back end of CusSat or customer success, or even customer support. Now it's beyond just having AI-driven chatbots and VAs. Now they can actually handle all of those basic routine customer inquiries, and that now frees the CSM up to focus on things like building relationships and getting to know these people and teaching them how to help, not sell.
Right.
So now what you've done is you've created a flywheel, if you will, of all of these things where everybody's on the same page. You've got lead scoring, you've got automation, you've got analytics, you've got coaching, you've got process, and now you've got communication, and you teach them all together now. And that's the other thing. Old school, we used to CSMs over here, BDRs over here, A's over there. Bring them together. One, they build an appreciation and a respect and a trust for each other. And thirdly, you start building consistency. I know that was a long one, but I want to make sure that I kind of took them through those steps.
I think that makes perfect sense, and that the way you presented it as the flywheel, I think that really resonates, because one of the things I was thinking about as you were talking there is the first thing you mentioned was people thinking AI is going to take my job. The way I look at it from a GTM or sales perspective is, as long as a human is making that purchase decision, a human will be required to sell it, right?
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Of course, there'll be elements of that purchase decision which are automated, which are taken over by AI, but the ultimate decision is still human, right? Especially for the larger enterprise type situation, right? Maybe for now.
For now.
Of course, with the pace of innovation as it is, right?
Absolutely. Who knows?
Right. But the second thing you mentioned there is really interesting around bringing everything together. I think one of the challenges that most businesses have is a lot of the information that they have around seller behavior, seller capability, seller competence, seller attributes, right, are fragmented. You've got CRM, you've got conversation intelligence, you've got a lot more people are now doing AI role plays. You've got cold calling tools like Groove or Sales, these kind of things, outreach, these kind of things. Then you've got kind of revenue intelligence, right?
Then you've got LMSs, you've got
LMS,
you've got all the marketing automation tools, you've got all
all
the
fragmented,
prospecting and sales reporting tools.
emails, calendar,
Lord.
all the communication, that's Slack, all these kind of things.
Yeah.
So do you see kind of AI bringing those things, or maybe not AI, but those things coming together, facilitated through AI, and giving leaders, managers, the people who are, for some reason, are not able to coach for whatever reason.
I think it's because they've never been coached.
Probably because they've never been coached, right? It's the background, the journey, however they got there. But giving them that information to be better coaches, or for AI to do the coaching themselves, like you like you said, using the realistic avatars and those kind of things. So kind of which way do you see it going? Do you see just managers becoming better coaches, or do you think this is something that's just shifting to AI now that the information can actually get into one place?
No, I do think that AI is now the tie that binds everything together. Because my mindset has always been you need IQ plus EQ plus AI. That is the three-legged stool today, right? Because AI will give you content beyond your wildest dream, well beyond any of us are still living and walking around. But to your point, you still need the human for context.
Yeah.
It can't show empathy. It can't show connection. It can't show connection between the two people, right?
Rapport and
Rapport. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. You still need that context from a human.
Right.
So as long as that's needed, we will still need people. Now, the way that we do these roles or have done them already because the technology has changed. I'm a bit worried if I'm a BDR right now. I really am. Because I don't need you to do what I did before. Now, maybe they become, instead of BDRs, they're MDRs, the marketing dev reps. But for someone to go and do the research and do the initial conversation, I don't think we'll need that much longer. And it's for a simple reason, Kamal, and that is there's far more access to information and content.
I agree.
And I don't believe that prospects are asking us to educate them anymore. They need us clearly to differentiate. Why us? Why them? Versus them? Why us? And what separates you from the others that all sound like they're blue and light blue? That's where we need the humans now.
Right. So there's a role, there's a part to play, and it's becoming a lot more strategic, right? Rather than the grunt work, the administrative, aspects, the time-consuming things, right? So it's speeding all of that up. But let's think about where AI is actually really moving the needle, especially as it relates to enablement. So we talked about a few things already, right? Especially when it comes to the flywheel that you mentioned. For anyone who's kind of new to this topic, and let's face it, there's a lot of AI talk right now in the GTM space, in the enablement space. But there's still people kind of maybe a bit of skepticism out there. Perhaps some people are like, okay, this is a journey I need to get on, right? But what are we talking about? It's about content, right? It's about generating faster the basic things, right? What's your view on where AI is really going to move the needle when it comes to enablement, very specifically, like how you prioritize? I'm thinking diagnostics, I'm thinking prioritization, I'm thinking data, all these kind of things. So what's your views?
Absolutely. I will say first and foremost, it's about not calling yourself a thought leader. So let me be clear here, because there's enough gurus and thought leaders out there, right? And it's literally about leading that wave of credibility, of giving people the answers to the kind of things that we're talking about right now. And we've all got an amazing platform in LinkedIn to be able to do that. So I think it starts there. And I think you start building that groundswell. But if you're an enablement professional, I'd look at things like certifications and accreditations, right? New hire onboarding, personas, competitive landscape, info, product releases, messaging and positioning, new releases. Then to the point we were talking about earlier, of leveraging AI for role plays,
Mhm.
right? Sales play recommendations, disco and qual, objection handling, messaging, new releases. The next thing I would say is around very specific content generation. And I'm talking about value prop creation, personalized emails, social media templates, all the things that have to go, digital sales rooms, all the things that have to go out, right? Leading you into the collaboration pieces. And I'm talking about, as we just talked about, best practice creation and capture, personal development
Right.
and success plans, scoring and feedback. I remember when it would take we'd do a boot camp, it'd take 3 days to do the tabulation, right? For all of the feedback and all that. Now,
Yeah.
feed that thing in and boom,
Done.
in a minute or so. The next piece is, and you talked about it earlier, all of the, and I'll put them all under a umbrella for a moment. Revenue intelligence tools, the
Right.
meeting recordings, the notes, the actions, the next step, the
Mm.
coaching and the reinforcement piece, right? The emails, the calls, the meetings. And then finally, things like sales templates to make sure that you're getting consistency around messaging and positioning. And I'm not talking about from the perspective of a script.
Mhm.
That's different. I'm not a big fan of script. What I like is to give you a structure as opposed to go see, say this way, then you become a robot. Instead,
Yep.
things like proposal templates and mutual success plans
Mm.
and sales and demos, and then even sales reports, right? If
Right.
you're leveraging those things, you're one, working smarter, not harder.
Mm.
And then secondly, you're building consistency and scalability. And isn't that really one of the bedrocks of what we do best as enablers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just to go back to a point you just mentioned there around sort of reporting. Um, I think this is a really interesting one, right? One might perhaps one I might even add in terms of your kind of list of kind of the key areas there. Data analysis. It's something that I've always kind of thought about, something that I've been talking about a lot, of course, right? It being a data-driven enablement function, ROI, value deriving, all of that. It's such a hard and difficult thing to do, right? Especially if you're not of that ilk, meaning
Yes.
you don't have that analytical background, perhaps, the numbers, the data, the metric KPIs, all these kind of things.
If you don't, you better get that skill set quickly.
Well, here's the thing, right? So of course, I talk a lot about my strategic enablement blueprint, which
Mhm.
guides enablers from going from like a more reactive tactical enablement function to a strategic function that is data led,
Absolutely.
focused on ROI. But when having these conversations a lot, one of the key gaps I see in enablement, and is there for lots of valid reasons, is it's just so much outside of the comfort zone. This data piece. Um, so I guess one of the kind of primary benefits that I've been seeing myself because I've been using it in this way is getting rather than filling the skill gap, using AI to fill the gap to a certain extent, right? Meaning, how do you plug certain data into AI and ask it to tell us what is going on, right? Meaning, how do I drive my enablement strategy based on actual data-based gaps that I'm seeing,
Yeah.
trends, analysis, simulation, forecasting, that kind of thing. Um,
But
what's your
again, doesn't it all come back to becoming that new P that I was talking about, which is
right?
prompt engineering?
Prompt engineering, right? It's only as good as the prompt that you're providing it. So it's not about
Exactly.
the skill. The skill per se is not just about knowing the data. Of course, knowing the data and understanding it and understanding trends and analysis is important, but how you prompt the engine is almost as important now, right?
Again, garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. What's your experience though? I mean, when it comes to enablement and that data piece and AI, what are your thoughts in terms of kind of the direction this is heading? What enablement should be doing? What's the first steps they can take when it comes to that area?
First and foremost, it
Mhm.
is nailing down, because there's a million of them out there,
Yeah.
nailing down what your true KPIs and metrics are going to be.
Mm,
Right? It all starts there because you got to have the end goal in mind.
mm,
And that means what is important to your sales leader, VP, CRO,
mm,
etc. is imperative to you as an enablement practitioner and professional. So understanding what those true measurements are, and then I would say become that 4-year-old kid. But
Yeah.
why? But why?
Why? Yeah.
But why? But why? Asking that question over and over to the nth degree till you really understand
Right.
where you're getting. Once you understand and you nail down what the metrics and KPIs are, the first thing that I do is I want to understand, to your point, the trend. What does this look like before? I can't say I've improved something. I can't say I've accelerated speed to revenue. I can't say that I've increased average sales value if I don't know what they are now. So while we, for the longest, have been kind of that third family at a family reunion with RevOps,
Yeah.
make them a first cousin. You got to get intertwined with them.
Mm.
And that's why you're seeing so many RevOps or enablement folks falling under RevOps.
That's right.
Who would have ever thought that back in the day?
Mm.
Right? It's because it's a symbiotic relationship. I know what you know, what we've done. I know where we're trying to get to. And we work together to find the delta between them. So tap into RevOps with those clearly defined, because their mindset is different, as we know, than enablement folks.
Mm.
Come with very, very detailed and specific asks. And to your point, the prompt is only as good as what you put in.
Yeah.
And then get that information, take that ball of wax now
Mhm.
and go and do your prompt. And it'll do the bulk of work for you. But again, you still got to go through and make some small tweaks.
Yeah. You still need to know what the inputs are so you understand the outputs, right?
Yeah, but at least you have a baseline.
Yeah.
You have a trend analysis. You
Mhm.
have a data analysis. And you then say, okay, now the delta between that, what does success look like?
Mm.
Mr. Mrs. Sales Leader,
Mm.
CRO, COO, whatever it may be. Great. Now reverse engineer that. In order to get to that, work with the other leaders. Don't work in a silo. Work with the other leaders and say, our goal is to get to this. We're trying to accelerate speed to revenue by X amount. We're trying to increase average sales value, ASP,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
On the back end with CSM, we're trying to increase retention. We're trying to increase upsell, cross-sell, renewals, whatever it may be.
Mm.
Now go and reverse engineer that. And that's where you now figure out which of those tools you're going to utilize. And I say utilize, not lean on, because it's not a crutch. Then you know what tools you're going to leverage. And now you go back and you validate that one more time with those leaders. And now you got your marching orders.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, it's just like everything else in enablement.
Mm.
Most of our work is front loaded,
Mhm.
right? So by the time you actually go run a workshop or whatever it may be, or an accreditation,
Mhm.
your job's pretty well done because you've locked everything in place, right? The same goes with this when it comes to data analysis, when it comes to metrics, measurements, and KPIs.
Yeah.
Go do the heavy lifting around all those pieces up front.
Mhm.
You're going to be an absolute rock star inside of your organization.
100%. But let's think about the consequences here a little bit, right? Because somebody's listening to this and thinking, yeah, I've heard this AI thing. I've heard about, I've read the articles, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Right, the status quo, because I'm going through my programs. My sales teams love me. My programs are great, and that's it, right? But what happens if we don't do these things? What happens if we don't shift? What happens if we don't move with the times?
Oh, that's easy. You'll become a dinosaur.
Hmm.
And we all know what happened to the dinosaurs. You will disappear just like the dinosaurs. As
Yeah.
I said earlier, AI is not going to take all jobs. It'll take some, but
Mhm.
it'll also create others.
Yeah.
What you need is to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, first and foremost.
Mhm.
The way that we used to do it doesn't exist and it doesn't work anymore. So, baby steps. Like I said, I use 13. Don't go and jump into the deep end. Start off slowly,
Mhm.
but start off with an open mind and we're all continual learners, right?
Mm.
And we're all people. So keep that in mind, that what I'm trying to do is make my people bigger, faster, and stronger, and more productive and more fruitful. I can't do that if I can't speak from a level of credibility of saying, hey, I've used this tool and this is what this is what it did for me. And I did this on behalf of you.
Mm.
So I think that should make it easier for some. It's not about us anymore, or it used to be, right? Now it's, what can I do to make them bigger, faster, stronger, more productive, and more profitable? So start small, but start. Because
Start.
if you don't, you won't have a job. You won't even have an option anymore. And I hate to say it, but at the same time, we're now moving at the speed of AI, not even the speed of business anymore, not even the speed of light anymore. It's now the speed of AI. So, as we've always said to as an enabler, there's a lot of shiny objects. There's a bazillion tools out there.
Right.
Start with one, two, three of them and
Mm.
get really, really good with it and comfortable with it. More importantly than good is get comfortable with it. Because every day somebody tells me, oh, there's this new tool. You got to check this out. And I'm like, sometimes it's, oh, okay, I'll check it out. Other times it's like, why? It does the same thing that 5 other things do.
Mm.
Don't get enamored with shiny things. And everything that works at the companies where your friends, family members, and peers, or even people that you respect and follow are using, may not work at yours. Because again, your company is at a different maturation point than that other individual or that other company. Got to figure out what works best
Mm.
for you, and then become the subject, become the SME on that.
Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is there are enablers coming into the enablement market now, who are fully versed with AI. I guess nobody can really say they're fully versed with AI, but at least they're utilizing
Yeah,
it to a certain
they're at
extent,
least comfortable with it, I would say.
which essentially means that they're a large percentage point more efficient, more productive than that person who isn't, right?
And more employable.
And more employable, right? They are doing all of the things that are outside of their comfort zone, like the data analysis, like they're bringing, fragmented data into one place and analyzing that, and just speeding all of that up, right? And they're doing it in a matter of minutes, right?
Yeah,
Once they've grasped, the right prompt, the right information to input, how to perceive the information and manipulate the information that comes out.
absolutely.
So the time to move really is now.
It was yesterday.
Was yesterday. But I'm an enabler, let's say.
Yeah,
I want to know more, right? I want to just figure out, look, you know how it is, right? The day job is relentless, especially right now when the demands are so high and buyer behaviors are shifting. AI is driving buyer behavior as well, right? When we're having to keep up with that. But it's relentless in the workspace. The information that is coming about AI is just overwhelming people. I can speak for myself there. There's a lot out there. And you can, just when you figured something out, it's changing something, there's something new out there
absolutely.
a week later. So how are they going to keep up with this? How are they going to take those first steps? How does someone like you who's made that shift help them?
I think there's a couple of ways.
Okay.
One, remember that the only thing constant is change,
Hmm.
and that you have to be in that stream of change all the time. I actually started writing I did my research. I started following a few folks.
Mhm.
I jumped in both feet, unafraid of what was going to come out of it. And I was like, you can't break it. Let's start there. All you can do is learn from it.
Right.
You'll learn how to or how not to, but either way, you're going to learn.
Mhm.
The other thing I did was I started writing a blog that I call the AI Sales Advantage.
Okay.
And now I'm sharing all the things that I'm learning
Mhm.
with the other, I don't know, 1,800 or whatever I've got folks that are subscribed, because what I get back from them is, this is wonderful. And okay, I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. But have you looked at it this way? And so now it becomes a conversation versus a presentation from me one to many.
Mm.
Also, it becomes a source of constant learning for me. Because while I'm sharing this as the subject matter expert, I'm also getting feedback from people that I really believe in and trust
Hmm.
And I'm going, ooh, I hadn't even thought about it from that angle. That was a softball. You didn't even swing. Or that's great, but have you thought about it from this angle?
Right.
And then you get yourself a small circle of folks, preferably folks that are a couple at your level so you don't feel alienated.
Mhm.
And then some other folks that are further along the journey than you, and you all learn from each other together. But the most important the most important part, Kanal, is accountability.
Mm.
And you hold each other accountable for sharing what you learn, or sometimes, which I really love, unlearn.
Mm. We've been talking about the changes, the shifts in the industry, the shifts when it comes to AI, to tech, the impact it's having, the consequences of not doing something here, but also kind of the first steps that somebody needs to take here, right? Um, what's next from your perspective? Like, what are you mentioned the blog. So follow Roderick, find you on LinkedIn, um, subscribe to the blog. I certainly have, and I'm reading them each time I see it, and there's a
Thank you. I
fountain of
appreciate
knowledge
it.
in there. So I certainly recommend that. But what's next from your perspective? Where else can you take this?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I've got an AI checklist for those that are just
Wow.
getting started
Okay. Well, that's
that,
super
that,
handy.
that you can find
Yeah.
coming shortly. And I'm releasing an what I call an AI enhanced sales enablement system. It's essentially 7 modules
Mhm.
that kind of follow the chapters in my book. And if you haven't gotten the book, go to roderickjefferson.com, grab the book. And I also wrote an interactive workbook that goes along with this as well,
Wow.
Kunal, for folks that can now adjust it for their given organizations and also maturation. But I'm really excited about the AI enhanced system because, again, 7 modules, all self paced with micro videos in there. I'm giving you templates, and then I'll pop in once a week,
Hmm.
teach a piece of that given chapter, and do an AMA, an Ask Me Anything session
Hmm.
to be able to, one, make sure that I don't want to lose the human component, as we talked about, but also it's a mutually equitable piece because you're going to learn, and there's peer learning along with other folks that are taking the course, and you may be at various stages of the course that now share that, but then I'm also learning from them as well so that I can constantly enhance this
Yeah.
as it grows. And I always want to be the best of the best. I don't want to be best in class. I want to be world class,
Absolutely.
galaxy. You know what I mean? But not for the sake of putting my name on it. Not at all.
Mhm.
It's not an ego thing. It's, to your point earlier, things are moving so fast because
Mhm.
what this cohort learns, I'm going to take from this cohort, and the next, and so on and so on,
Right.
will learn from the previous cohort, as well as the delta of change from that first through 12th cohort that we do. So you're always going to be getting updated and best of best information.
Well, look, that's been super enlightening. You know, this isn't about taking people outside of the comfort zone. This is about just showing what is real, what is happening, and where the industry is going, right?
Yeah. It's about creating a new comfort zone.
It's about creating a new
Honestly.
comfort zone, and that's what we're all accountable for, right? That's what we're doing, not just
Indeed.
for our own roles, but the people we support, right? Our sellers, our commercial teams, our revenue teams. So it's been super having you on the podcast.
Always.
I really, really appreciate it. And finally, we get to speak as well, which has been
Isn't LinkedIn interesting where you go back and forth with people and you get to know them,
you get
and
to.
then like, oh yeah, we should probably meet at some point because we've been going back and forth for years, Kanal.
It's been a long time. I think you're probably one of my first enablement contacts in the enablement space, right?
I'm honored. Told you, there's the OG.
The OG. So, so as the OG, it's great to have you on the podcast. Really appreciate your time and your insights. Again, if you want to jump on the AI bus, then follow Roderick. Look out for the course, and that'll be launching in a couple of weeks' time. And of course, you've got the book.
Jump on and subscribe to the blog because
Yeah,
everything is going to flow through there. All the
absolutely.
information.
Yeah. And we touched on some of the data related items as well. That's relevant as well. And that's where the strategic enablement blueprint comes in as well. So we've got a dedicated module within there focused on how to derive the data, how to analyze the data, trend analysis, simulation, all using AI, including some custom GPTs to support that as well. So links will be right at the bottom of this podcast as well. But in the meantime, it's been amazing, Roderick. Thank you so much for being on, and hope to speak to you soon.
Likewise. Take care, my friend.